Hi guys, this is April and happy Earth Day. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about some things that you can do to appreciate the earth and nature and finding the art in nature. So one thing that you can do is take a picture frame outside and you can use it to frame pictures or clouds, or you can put it on the ground and make your own. You can find the little microcosm in there, find interesting things, or you can make artwork in your picture frame from different things in nature. And that will kind of define it as your space that you're working in. Another thing that you can do is write your name. My daughter Amaya wrote my name with elements of nature. Use different things. You can make a mandala. This is the mandala I made, and mandala means circular. And there's a lot of symmetry in nature, things that are round, things that are spiraled or have patterns and radiate out. If you look at a pine cone, you can look at the front, the top, and the back. You see how it goes in a pattern in a circle. If you look at a tree trunk or like a plant growing over here, you see how they radiate out from the middle. So nature is full of mandalas. So it's kind of fun. Maybe you can find some lichen in the shape of circles or mandalas, different things. So today for Earth Day, maybe we can think of things that you could do to help the earth. Like turn your lights off, walk or ride your bike instead of driving your car. You can make new paper, recycled paper from paper that you've used. You can use both sides of paper so that you're not using too much paper. You can pick up trash. Go out and put your gloves on and ask your parents to help you pick up some trash from the creeks or the paths or the street. You can plant a tree, and that's what we're going to do today. We have some pine cones here and some soil. When you plant a pine cone, let's see, which pine cone should we plant? Find a perfect one. This one's kind of cool. It's a big one. You should only plant it just a little tiny deep because you can see all the pine cones on the ground. They're just a little bit in the earth. So you push it in the earth just a little bit, not too much, on its side. And then we'll water it. Forgot my water. Yeah. We put water, and this is a little garden mulch I put around to keep it moist, as we should keep water it every other day or so to keep it moist but not too wet. And then eventually the seeds inside here will sprout up and you'll have little baby trees coming out. So I'll have to water mine when I get back inside because I didn't bring my water. Now let's read the Lorax. Because we don't have truffle trees here. What do we have?
Pine trees.
Pine trees. All around there's pine trees. And this place has truffle trees. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there, and why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old Onceler still lives here. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the Onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lorkim on top of his store. He lurks in his lorkim, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffered moof. And on special dark midnights in August he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents in a nail and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail and makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him away in his snub, his secret strange hole in his groovulous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper-ma-phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slop down slops the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have come down through a snargly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the Swami swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the ripulous pond came the comfortable sound of the hummingfish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping, a joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a sneed. Sneed. I say that. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazzup. I looked and I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I'd chopped down. It was a sort of man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with the voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said, with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. I am doing no harm. This thing is the need of a fine something thing that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. It has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers, for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth that would buy that fool need. But the very next minute I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute a chap came along and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up, if you please. I rushed across the room, and in no time at all, I built a radio phone and I put a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast, take the road to North Snitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch. And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds, as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of truffle trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked all 4 truffle trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and the Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, I am the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily living eating truffle fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffle fruit to go round. And my poor barbaloots are all getting crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They love living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I most truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of the needs I shipped out. It was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more needs, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when the old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax, he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled, he snargled, he sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a croakless croak. Onceler, you're making such schmogulous smoke. My poor swami swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing with smog in his throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, and so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I do not hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here. What's more, snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, let me say a few words about gluppity-glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making gluppity-glup and sloppity-slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap, and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering turning more truffula trees into needs, which everyone needs. Sorry, you can't turn this page. At that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack from an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts, every one, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into their cars and drove away under the smuggered stars. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, and gave me a very sad backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hesitated, when he heisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left in this mess was a useless pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that means, well, I just couldn't guess. That was a long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. So, but now, said the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He let something fall. It's a truffula seed, the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds, and the truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care. Give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. All right, hope you liked that. And happy Earth Day. Plant lots of trees. They give us oxygen and air and homes for the animals. All right, bye.